This is the Tapped In Podcast, the podcast for beverage distributors that want to empower their sales team to drive business results. Well, listen up and welcome back to another episode of the Tapped In Sales Podcast. I'm one of your many co-hosts, Bud, here with Moneyball Ross and Data Mike. We have another great topic planned today. We are going to talk about how to sabotage your team's transition to a new pay plan. And if you're thinking about doing something, we're in the middle part of the year now. We're looking at at first of the year, sales comp plans might be changing, or you just might want to change some things in general. What would be the best ways to make it a problem and mess it up and make some boo-boos? We've seen these things in the real world. We've witnessed these things, and we do our best professionally to help clients avoid them. So that is our plan for today. We've got 6 key behaviors that kill adoption. We've got some real life stories, so it should be fun talking about, right? And this is a high risk operation, right, Mike? Like messing with people's pay creates tension in the operation regardless.
It does. And that's what we do for a living. So it's always funny because that's the first thing, right? If somebody messes with your pay, you're automatically defensive and you're automatically what's going on, right? You think the negative, not the positive. But yeah, and that's what we do with clients. So we have some experience on that side.
I'm a big momentum. I believe in momentum and momentum around culture in a business and how you can make momentum. I used to hate the end of the year around doing healthcare stuff because it's a component of somebody's benefits and of their total pay. And it was like every time we had to fight or talk about healthcare was just a momentum killer around the culture because nobody liked talking about it. It always got more expensive and nobody was happy with the care that they got. So it's like, exactly. I would love to be ready to be done talking about this stuff, but then we do it professionally for a living all the time too. So I love it. So let's start with number 1, skip the training. Ross, in your world, when we hear skip the training around moving to a new pay plan, what does that mean to you? Where do you think that people fall short with talking about training and how people get paid?
Well, I mean, I think we've adopted the policy of on-site and get in front one-on-one with as many people as possible to try to communicate through the change, what it really means, how to read it, how it impacts them and their peers. And I think it's important for us to acknowledge, our own shortcomings. During COVID, a lot of the clients we launched during that period, we had to go back and see because obviously we couldn't be on site and we had to do a lot of remote training. And yes, we provide lots of online training courses, but to this day, there's very little substitute for one-on-one, looking somebody across the table, walking them through it. And also, I think, for example, having Mikey go is always a big benefit simply because he was on the receiving end of this program. Yeah. Because to your point about messing with people's compensation, everybody's first reaction to, hey, we're changing your compensation isn't, oh, cool, my boss is here to give me more money. That's never the initial reaction.
It's always like the reaction is, oh, cool, my boss is here to mess with my pay. We've got a new creative way to make it less in some way, shape, or form, right?
That's usually the knee-jerk reaction, yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
And then you turn from the boss to them, they, right? All of a sudden, around the whole warehouse, I think of one employee of ours, particularly when I tell this story, but they're changing my pay again. They're changing this. Don't become the they. Right? Put a name and a face to the change. Don't become the they of, because that would happen in our warehouse where that individual would be like, yeah, did you hear they are doing this or they are doing that? I look right at them and I go, who are they? Well, and I'm like,
it's Bud.
I'm technically part of the they.
Bud's the they. Yep. Damn assholes named Bud. I love it. Another one is overcomplicate the math. So when you hear overcomplicate the math, Mike, what's that look like in your world for changing, and this is probably particularly in a rep's mind around making it way overcomplicated.
Yeah, I think it lines up with what we talk about all the time with incentives and objectives too. If you need a spreadsheet and a decoder ring just to explain the comp plan or read the comp plan,
We got to get what's great swag ideas is a mic decoder ring.
but truthfully, I mean,
What was that movie? It was the Christmas Story.
Christmas
Right,
story.
they have to listen. They have to listen to this podcast, and we'll give out little clues for the decoder ring.
Win a free ham. We give away a free ham if you decode the comp structure.
Was a Little Orphan Annie or something.
I'm gonna wind up buying like 3 clients hams because they email me after this episode.
And if you don't get the joke, you'll have to go digging through the archives to find out which episode the ham came from. But no, truthfully, I mean, honestly, like, we talk about that all the time, but if it's complex, you're not going to get the results that you want. I did some Gallup, right? I'm on my Gallup studies today, but the one study that I pulled up was reps will ignore 30 to 50% of the comp plan if it's too confusing or cluttered. I mean, that speaks pretty highly, especially when your comp plan is made up 50% base or 70% base. That's a pretty big portion of that money that's left behind and left on the table just from sheer confusion and not knowing how to achieve it.
60% of the time, I don't understand it 100% of the time.
Yeah. 60% of the time, it works every time.
I'm going to take number 3, which is fail to show the money early. And for me, around failing to show the money early is there's no understanding of like, when do I start to earn this? And like, if you think about like going to the casino, if you in your slot game, like they want to pitch some money back to you to actually keep your engagement. Because if all you're doing is dumping money into the slot machine over and over again, if all you're doing is dumping money into your sales quota or dumping effort into your sales quota over and over again, and you're not seeing any mo or flow back to you, you're going to walk away from the machine or walk away from the effort at some point as well too. So when a rep starts to see their upside potential and starts to earn money in a given month is very important as part of a puzzle too. Anything you two want to add to that?
No, I hear about it a lot. Obviously, we'll toot our own horn here. I feel like we do a really good job of explaining the comp structure with VXP to reps because, as this episode outlines, it's super important. We have to have the reps understand it, believe in it, and be behind it in order for it to work, right? And if they're confused or they don't know how it works, we lose them. So I think, gosh, where was I going with that? What was the question, bud?
If you had
let me jump and save you here, Mike. Like you're drowning.
Where was that?
It's like that meme, like the guy that like below the water. I got you, Mikey.
Yeah, thanks, Ross. Now it came back to me. I know where I was going with that, but go ahead.
I mean, you're fresh. I mean, you're early in the day. I'm here at like 4:00. I'm ready for a beer. Speaking of which, I've got the next new trend. But I got to get back to this question. We keep dancing around. For me, it's incredible that this day and age that you wouldn't be timely with the reporting. And furthermore, your younger sales team, millennials and younger, they don't just want it, they expect it. I mean, can you imagine being a millennial or a Gen Z coming in and being like, what do you mean? I don't get to hear, I don't see any of these results until a week after the month's closed. I mean, don't you have a database? Don't you have the ability to pull data? And I mean, it sounds ridiculous for me to say that, but I get uncomfortable even with the fact that our current databases that we use in our industry were a day behind or 48 hours behind in some cases. And we should give you with, simple projections where we think you're going to end. We should be utilizing the tool to make it real time and transparent and upfront. And it's not just, oh, that's nice to have. I just don't, I can't imagine a world where you don't have that. It blows my mind. I mean, that was one of the first things when I jumped in this industry. I'm like, I cannot believe it. I mean, it was like walking back into like 1992. I mean, what are we doing here? So for me, it's fundamental. And, we can get it. When we talked about the gamification, that sort of thing. There's other things that this generation really keys into, and it resonates with them more than just the simple expectation that it needs to be as timely as freaking possible.
Work is not just about what you do, it's about how you do it and why you're doing it too. It's not just about what you do, it's about why you're doing it. And there's a lot of what we do professionally that brings a lot of why. It answers a lot of why questions as well. And that's one of the things that when we talk to reps about this is that I believe they really enjoy the non-economic understanding of why I'm doing what I'm doing too, Ross. Because there's education around, hey, it used when you started in the industry and when I did too, it's like just go sell product, go put it on the shelf. You don't need to ask questions why, just do it. And it's become much more complex over the SKU count and over the partner count that we have in suppliers and all the variable product industries that we're selling in, even talking about salty snacks that our clients are selling. And you're just got a multitude of things, and you need to understand more of a complex marketplace, and you need to understand why more often than what you ever used to have to when there was 10 suppliers in your house or two or three and you sold 400 or 500 SKUs. That's not the world we live in anymore.
I think that's
And
super important.
and we talked about it a bunch, but there's the trust element too. And in the younger generations, you trust isn't assumed because you work somewhere. That ship has sailed, and you're not going to get. And we've talked about this, but you're not going to get the trust without the visibility, the clarity, simplicity, and to your point, what you were saying, Bud.
And yeah, exactly. What you said was spot on. The why, right? And we've said that in many episodes too. Explaining the why, if we get the buy-in from the reps and they understand why, we will get the outcome that we're looking for. I mean, I think in the last couple episodes we said it a couple times, but people don't resist change; they resist the unexplained change. They don't know the why behind why are we changing. If we bring them in, they're involved in the process a little bit more. They understand why. 100% behind it. I think about when we launched VXP in 2018. The why behind it was huge for us. The why was we're losing volume, right? We're growing profits. You guys are only paid on volume. We need to change this. The why was there. Explain it to them, showed them the data, 100% on board, 100% buy-in. I think that's super important. And I remembered now where I was going before I lost my total train of thought there. But when you said, show me the money early, right? And how important it was to get those dollars rolling. And I think too, when I do kickoff meetings with reps, and we're explaining the pay structure of VXP, and we have that threshold of when the dollars start. And I've had many conversations with the reps, especially out in the field when it's a one-on-one type of deal, and they look at their app and they're going, hey, why I don't start getting paid until I hit 70% of my goal. I'm just throwing a number out there, 75% of my goal. And I explained to them, yep, that's a lot of thought that goes in behind that. That way we know we have the proper amount of dollars behind each percentage point, right? And technically, you make more money this way than if it started at zero. And I always do the math, and I said, now if we take that threshold and started at zero, start making dollars day one, and then this is how you would end if you were at your goal or over your goal. And it makes sense, but they always still look at me and they're like, yeah, but I'm not making any money until like mid-month, maybe 3/4 through the month. I'm like, but you are making money. No, I'm not. I'm making $0 until 3/4 of the way through the month. And I have to explain that to them again because it's psychological, right? It's like, yeah, technically on paper, your dollars are not accumulating, but also you're going to hit that 70% of your goal, but it's all mental. So that's where I was going to go with that.
I love it. Love it. So that kind of handles number 4. Number 5, ignore the skeptics. And what I want to tackle on this one is there's always one or two people in any organization that are naysayers. And if you're thinking about moving to a new pay plan, you know who these people are already, right?
Yeah.
I can give you this, I give you the accent. Why?
Why?
Why? Why? Like Mike knows just who we're talking about. And the best advice I have for anybody who knows that this is going to happen and there's going to be a couple of skeptics in the room, you have to look at them and you have to address their concerns head on. And when you speak to the elephant in the room and you speak to the skeptics in the room, you will make their skepticism less relevant. If you ignore them, they will seed doubt, they will seed chaos, and they will win in the long term. But if you're in the room and you're doing this publicly with everybody and you are attacking their skepticism in front of everybody, you can manage it. You don't have to agree with them either. This isn't about seeking agreement. This is about letting them air their grievances in front of everybody and dealing with their skepticism one-on-one, and you will make their negative less negative.
Yep. Or else you're going to have that secret underground network running around behind that excludes you because you're the they, right? You know, you're
Exactly.
they, and then the
Well,
secret
this is a
network.
great tie into the episode from last week that we just released as we're recording this. And we talked about the most successful clients we have, it comes into the culture.
Mm-hmm.
And that is because you address the why appropriately, and you appropriately address the skeptics, and to I think the next couple points about finding your champions, middle management, those things that you're going to lead us into here, bud.
Exactly. Then last one, number 6, treat it like a one-time event. And Ross, treating it like a one-time event where you're just one meeting and then silence. You want to add any more color around that as another way to screw it up?
Yeah, I mean, changing people's compensation needs to be given given the respect it deserves, and it shouldn't be something that's done flippantly or quickly. There should be plenty of lead up. There should be plenty of hands-on training, personal face-to-face meetings. I mean, it's all the things that we've learned through the years of doing this.
Of making mistakes.
Yeah, quite frankly, yes, making mistakes. Learning the hard way. So I think, again, what we're saying here is don't touch the hot stove. Just trust us that it's hot, and be very intentional with your moves around people's compensation.
I like rolling it out as like a campaign. It's an initial meeting. You're going to roll it out as these things are changing. This is the process. Usually comes, best practice would usually come with some kind of take home documentation that's like, hey, here's specific to you how your pay plan is adjusting from XYZ last year or last week's or last month's plan to XYZ new plan as well. And that isn't necessarily for the person who is sitting in the room. It's for them to take home to their partner
Mm-hmm.
that they're actually, spend their time with, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, all that stuff. And because you need to be able to answer questions to it. And if you're putting it on paper, it makes it more transparent and it brings them up to a level playing field that they actually can like contend and ask questions with you as a manager. And then the third thing too is like people have to hear this is human nature, the same thing over and over again, 7 different times. It's why when you get on a Disney trolley to go to Disney or to go into the park, the trolley master is going to tell you what lot you're in, what trolley you're on, and what character, the actual name of the lot that you're getting picked up from. And they will repeat that 7 times between the time they pick you up and the time they drop you off at the front door to the park. And they do that on purpose because they want you to remember where your car is parked. And they do it that way because they have hundreds of thousands of people that come to their parks every day, and they've had to systemize this so people aren't lost about their parks or where their cars are parked over and over again.
Why do they want to remind us so many times of it's such a small world?
Exactly.
How many times do they repeat it's a small world on that
Exactly.
ride?
Exactly. I love
I
it.
do want to double click into something real quick, which is the other thing is be confident in what you're doing. And I mean that from the ownership management level. Maybe you listened to our episode this past week and you loved what we said about GP and you're going to move to a GP based compensation. Maybe you have some doubts of whether it will work or not. Don't show that doubt. Like once you know what you want to do, go in believing that it's going to work. Because looking like you're not confident in what you're doing is going to sow uncertainty in everybody else. And maybe back me up here, bud, in what I'm saying. But
For sure. Well, let's look at some real world examples now. So, real world example in that confidence mindset was when we made our transition, we were paying our reps exclusively on volume. And to Mike's point earlier in the episode, volume was going down, commission structure was based off of volume, and every single year, reps' paychecks got smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And meanwhile, in our specific implementation or our specific operation, the profitability was fairly net neutral. We weren't really growing profit. We weren't really declining profit. We were kind of staying the same, but the reps' labor costs were going down for us. And Mike, you can remember this when I was in the room with everybody and we had rolled this transition plan out. I had said, the problem that I have with your current pay plan is that you guys are making less money year after year after year. And if you haven't made less money from one year to the next, it's because we let a rep go or because a rep quit or retired and we gave you more work to do.
Mm-hmm.
And we gave you more work to do at the same commission rate. And that was how we kept you whole or gave you a little bit of a raise, because we also were not doing performance-based raise at this time in our cycle either. So I owe you a better process. And I owe you a process where we can put a floor underneath your earnings and that I can build a structure around as the business wins and grows profitability, you will earn upside related to that profitability growth that you are processing and helping aid in. And you're going to have to trust me in this because we've looked at it. We know it can work. And I'm going to have to send out some like culture shillings to everybody, and that I'm going to stick my neck out and be confident that this is going to happen. And then if it doesn't, I'm going to have to deliver on different results or a different process. But that level of confidence did get us far enough of a runway for the first 3 or 4 months that they could see it working, and then it didn't have to sustain it long term. It just has to, that confidence push just has to sustain the transition period of usually somewhere between 30 to 90 days. And as it works, then you don't need that same level of, because if you're playing it as a confidence game all the time, you're a con man, right? That's what it is called. It's called con man for a reason. Then it's not actually working. So you still have to deliver results on the front end, but be confident on the back end, but be confident on the front end will pay dividends in the long run. You are right, Ross.
Yeah, I mean, don't go in there saying, we're just going to give this a try, and if it doesn't work, we're going to go back.
Yeah. Yep.
And that there's something to be said, and you can look towards historical metaphors. Burning the bridges behind you. Burning the boats. The reason you say that is because you're given no alternative other than the direction that we're going. Yep. It's face the enemy or die. And
it's funny you say that, Ross, burn the boats, because we had a client on the Beer Distributor Productivity Summit that we did that said on it, word for word, we burned the boats. We told everybody we burned the boats. There's no going back to what we were doing. This was the direction we're going. This is that high level of confidence. And like that was one of the things that he said word for word is burn the boats. We got to move forward. You guys got to figure this out. Like This is going to work, and you got to work with us to figure it out. What other good real life examples, Ross, that have come up in your time doing this too, where like it didn't work or you had some struggles with it? I've got one in my wheelhouse, but I know you got one too.
Yeah, I've got one that predates you guys. And it was related to capping the upside at 100%. And it was early days, and it didn't have really the flexibility to tell a client no. It was happy to have the client, and if they're buying it, they can do what they want. We have since changed our mentality around that, which is we're not going to let you fail, and we're going to be pretty aggressive about making sure that we're not going to let you fail based on our experiences on what we know doesn't work. And in this particular situation, the idea that once you get to 100% of your goal, you stop getting paid really backfired in a really negative way. It was demoralizing, and lo and behold, if somebody got to 100, they stopped. So they never really got performance above 100. Why try? I might as well go home and spend time with my family if you're not going to pay me more. So cool. So then the client came to us and said, well, we're not getting the results that other clients of yours are getting. So this program just doesn't work for us. We need to cut ties here. And, to this day, the lesson on that one is, thanks, but no thanks if you're going to cap it at 100%. Like, you can do that without us. Not to be totally blunt, but again, our primary job is to make sure our clients are successful. And one of those things that we do is make sure that if we know the stove's hot, why would we just sit there and watch you touch it?
There's an incredible episode of The Office, because art imitates life. And if you want to go check out The Office, season 7, episode 9, there is an episode where Jim Halpert has his commissions capped and literally puts it in neutral and is just like, I'm going to sit back and I'm not going to do nothing. Why would I do anything more? And it's just a hilarious take on that whole subject for sure. You got to love it. I'm pretty sure I did a quick Google search. I'm pretty sure it's season 7 episode. Steven says 7 episode 9. I'm a big Office fan, so gotta love it. Another piece.
There's so many of you. There's so many people that love that show. I just don't get it. I can't watch it.
I can't get it. Tough. Yeah, it's not for everybody.
I don't get it.
Honestly, I never gave it a try. I don't think I've watched a single episode. But everybody
It's painful.
Like, sometimes I want to.
And I'll be on the plane and everybody's watching The Office. I'm like, obviously I've seen these episodes before. And they just keep watching them. I can't even make my way through it. It's painful. I can't even watch one.
I'll have to give it a try.
Another great real world story example from us too is that we had like the project of talking about compensation is really never done. Like this is something that is going to be ongoing on a regular basis. And we're a few years into our implementation with VXP, and we start to hear some rumblings. Sandy actually is the one that brought this up, Mike, and said, hey, I think a couple of the guys are frustrated. They think they're making less money. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that's intriguing. Can you prove that? Like, can you help me understand with data what is or isn't happening? And she said, well, yeah. So she did a little bit of work and looked at it and came back, and her assessment was, I think we have a comparison problem. And said, what's that? She said, well, I think they're looking at a one-time bonus that you gave at the end of the year, and they're comparing their earnings year to date with that. And they just forgot that it's a one-time thing, even though we labeled it and talked about it the way that you did it. And I totally get it. And I said, okay, well then let's address it. So we brought everybody in for our general sales meeting, which we would do on a regular basis. And I addressed this in the room in front of everybody. And I said, hey, it sounds like there's some concern that you guys are not making more money, yet you are understanding that the business is moving forward and making more profit. And nobody wanted to talk. And I said, we need to talk about this. And we need to talk about this as a group too, because I don't want to have one-on-one meetings behind the back where Bud says one thing and Bud says another, and then it's a bad game of telephones. And I know you knuckleheads all are going to chat about this on your text messages behind our back anyways. So like, we're going to talk about this now, and we have to talk about it now. So like, what's the concern? Where's the problem? And one of our reps brought up and said, I'm making less money. And I said, okay, so can you help me understand where you're coming at from this? And he said, this is the XYZ numbers that I'm seeing, and this is the XYZ numbers that, we got last year, and we're all kind of feel the same way. So somebody spoke up for the group, which was great. I loved it. And what do we do from there, Mikey? We were able to actually have an intelligent conversation and saying, you're looking at this way, and you are right with you looking at it that way. That is also accounting for that one-time bonus related to total company performance, which we shared this one-time bonus across all departments, that everybody got a piece of the pie.
And I think that was COVID too, right? A piece of that bonus was
It was COVID. At the end of COVID. It was like 2021, 2022. It was near the end of COVID, yes. And you guys as a team, everything from merchandisers all the way up to leadership, killed it. We solved a lot of business problems. We had a lot of challenges. Nobody jumped a ship. Like, there were a lot of really positive things that happened around our organization through COVID, performance-wise and people-wise. And we were really, 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 really fortunate. So we wanted to do something nice. And at the end of it, at least we came to a sense of understanding that it was peer to peer and looking at what was happening inside of their paychecks to what is actually happening now. And I don't know, Mike, if there was a sense of agreement, but there was at least a sense of understanding from both sides.
Yeah, and I think it was more of an educational thing too of how do I even look and see where I'm at versus last year, right? Apples to apples,
Yep.
minus that bonus. Because I mean, if anybody's listening to this pod and knows Bud, he's not a bonus guy. So that was a one time thing to not be expected to happen again this year and not to count on it. So yeah, so to be able to pull the data up, show everybody, say now moving forward, like if you really want to look and see where you're at versus last year, this is how you would do it, right? We need to look at apples versus apples.
Yep. Yep. And being willing to step into that tension is really important. And if you're a leader listening to this, it is so much better to step into the tension in front of everybody in a group setting, because then they're hearing one message from one person and you're not doing stuff behind closed doors. Because no matter what you do, you can make somebody watch the same video over and over again. But if you in a closed door setting and just rinse and repeat the same thing over and over again, they are all going to take away various different versions of it. So doing it in a group setting, although that can be chaos, is the best thing, because you're not pairing. It's a process called pairing, where you're actually talking to two people at a time and you're pairing up and you're talking shit about other people, or you're talking through the problem. When you're doing it in a group setting, it's a way more beneficial thing for you as a leader to get your point across to the group.
Yeah, good experiment with that is to tell that naysayer you said earlier, tell that naysayer, hey, and just only tell one person, we're thinking about changing the comp plan. And then watch that rumor spread through the entire organization and probably come back to you as we're all getting a pay cut.
See how long it gets around.
See how it gets warped from the original very loose, open-ended change in pay structure to we're losing money, we're getting a pay cut.
You know, we talked about this. This is another thing. Like, we're just going to keep talking about this because middle management is an X factor. ASMs, team leads, directors, they are the ones that are blocking and tackling a lot of these changes for you and with you out there. How do you coach and communicate? They play a big role, right, Mike?
Absolutely, yeah. They should be involved. They should be involved in the whole planning process, not just brought in to deliver the bad news. So and having them involved in the planning process goes back to what we've been saying this entire episode. You need to have their trust, you need to have the why, and then you need to have their belief behind it. If they don't believe it, if your sales managers, team leads, whoever, if they don't believe in it, they're not going to defend it. So then they're just going to be another naysayer or another non-believer, and they're not going to be defending your plan and the why and actually coaching to it and influencing the reps to get the results that you want. I have another Gallup study. You want to hear it? Frontline managers influence 70% of team engagement. That's huge too, right? If you have a manager of any sort or any level out there that is a naysayer or a non-believer, they're not going to be influencing the reps in the right way. And we've talked about this before too. I mean, our team leads have really a big job and a big role, and they are training our next team leads. They're training our next ASMs. They're shaping the future of the organization. So we really it's super important to have them on board and have them believe in it.
One of the ways that you can tactically force engagement from a team lead too is through extreme alignment.
Mm-hmm.
If everybody has the same basically pay plan and it all rolls up from reps to middle management to senior leadership, that kind of forced alignment creates a sense of tension of where if I'm not engaged or if I'm not aligned or helping my reps move forward on this, I won't win either.
Right. Yep.
And the real
I was going to say, and that's another place we realize the stove's a little hot, which is not putting the appropriate amount of dollars into the mid and upper management in alignment with what's happening at the rep level.
Yep.
Which we've talked about several times in this pod, but I think that's worth mentioning, and that's a place where we've learned our lesson as well. And it kind of speaks to your vertical alignment comment.
And some of this is like, and I play games around this too. I like to negotiate with folks, and it's a lot of fun to do it. But I also just like to kind of lay the foundation of what they're supposed to do, and then they get to make their own decisions, and I don't have to stand in the way. So it's people respond to incentives to me. And when you force that kind of extreme alignment, they will organically respond, and they'll either get out of the way and meaning they're going to coach themselves out or leave the organization and they're going to opt out, or they're going to re-opt in and say, okay, the rules have changed. I cannot be a naysayer anymore, because if I am, that negatively impacts me. That makes my job harder. That makes my pay less. And if you are misaligned, that makes just a bigger opportunity for that naysayer to show up and cause some havoc and wreak some challenges out there as well. So I think that's a great way to summarize and end the discussion of 6 ways to wreck it, how to wreck your rollout, how to reverse it, and some of the things that we learned professionally on how to actually change the outcomes, and some good, full on real world examples as well. So other topics, Ross, we wanted to show something. It was show and tell, drag and brag, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, I will remind everybody that I'm on a different time zone, so it's fully acceptable for me to drink a beer right now.
It would be fully acceptable if you were on the same time zone, or if you were West Coast and way earlier.
Yeah.
You can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning, Ross. And it doesn't make you an alcoholic if you drink rum in the morning. It makes you a pirate.
I like that. I'll use that. But we've been super negative in the beer industry. There's nothing exciting, nothing cool happening. Have you guys seen this before?
Messiah?
I have not.
Nope.
Okay, so this is super hot in Italy right now. It's beer with salt in it. It's from Sicily, and it's got sea salt in it.
No shit.
And it's super refreshing. You wouldn't think that, but you think about it like I've seen oyster stouts. Think about it like that. It's more like salty, briny. But it's super good, and it's got a really interesting story. They took a bunch of I say they, and here's hats off to Heineken. They bought up a bunch of failing breweries in Sicily that were making this, and they conglomerated it into one co-op or one business. And it's super good and super hot here. And it reminds me, like, I was here 7 years ago, and everybody was drinking these orange drinks. I'm like, what the hell is that? And we were in Venice, and we rolled up on this couple, and we were like, we just have to ask, what is that? They're like, it's this cool new drink called Aperol Spritz.
Yep.
That's so cool. And then, half a year later, everybody in the States is drinking Aperol Spritz, right? And I'm thinking, I don't know, does Heineken bring this to the States? If they don't, they should.
If we only had a supercomputer in front of us that could send a spaceship to the moon. How do you spell it?
Messina.
My head automatically goes to the one time I was standing in the ocean drinking a beer, and a wave came over and got all that salt water in my beer, and I took a sip of it unknowingly, and it was pure disgusting. But you're saying this is pretty refreshing and pretty good?
I think it's really refreshing.
I don't know if you can buy it in the U.S.
I'm telling you.
Well, next big thing.
It is available. The Google says it. The AI Google says it is available in the U.S., but it might not be widely distributed.
Well, I mean, if you're a distributor and you've got Heineken, maybe you ask them for this beer. I mean, it's hot here.
That's awesome. The branding is incredible.
It's got a good story. It's got good branding. It's got a good flavor. It's perfect for summer.
Nice.
I mean, Heineken sure as hell could use a kick in the pants in terms of their trends. I mean, why not?
Love it. It's awesome. Where you finding it everywhere you get it, or everywhere you're shopping?
Well, it's more centralized in like the Amalfi Coast and south towards Sicily.
Okay.
Not as much up here where I am right now in Tuscany, but it's anyway. I think it's a cool. Anyway, it's refreshing to see something new.
Yeah.
Right. I was talking to somebody about the branding in general, like just complaining and lamenting, and the industry is just kind of organically lamenting around the trends, and Gen Z doesn't want to drink, instead of like trying to do something about it with brands and trying to do something about it with new products. And I think they're trying to with some of the RTD stuff, but like that is a really creative and entertaining and interesting idea around like a beer, because it's classic malt beer, right?
It's a lager, I think.
Yeah, it sure does look like it's a lager. I love it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to go see if we can.
I can't read Italian, so I can't give you the details. Maybe you could have Hal read that too, the back.
I love it. That's awesome. Other couple things, couple news things. This thing is this is kind of like off the beaten path, but just kind of fun that I wanted to pitch you guys. And then Michigan, how can Michigan get its house in order? This just annoyed me, Mike. It hit me in the wrong tone. And uh, this Irish liquor lawyer is lamenting the Michigan business around RNDC and around the direct to consumer. And they're saying that Michigan would do wise to get their independent wholesaler tier in order. I'm like, bro, liquor sales in Michigan are not independent wholesaler tiered. It is the state. The state is the one who does the distribution, and they have these agents that they pay basically nothing to deliver logistics business. And it doesn't work like this in almost any other state in the whole country. So, like, grab a hold of your shoulders, bro, and pull your head out of your ass and actually understand how the Michigan business works. It just touched me off the wrong way.
I can tell that got under your skin a little bit.
It got under my skin for sure. 100% sure. And then the last thing, with a little bit of time that we got left, Hensley acquired the remaining stake in Scout Distributing. So Scout Distributing being a multi-state, independent, basically craft-only distributor.
Yeah.
Sign of the times, because I think, isn't this all three of their locations now have partnered up and have sold off with Craig Stein or somebody up in the Northeast or Pac Northwest that they did that partnership deal with. I don't remember who. And then Hensley here in Arizona, and then Suncoast down in San Diego. So sign of the times, right, Ross? These smaller independent. Is this good, bad for the industry, or just kind of is what it is for the 3-tier distribution network?
I mean, the trends are going the way they're going. And I mean, obviously, they had a presence in California too, didn't they?
Yeah, they did, which that got rolled up with the new hand operation, which I think is Suncoast Beverage out in San Diego is what they call that now.
Yeah, Scout had a big presence in San Diego. Yeah, I mean, the trends are down and consolidation is happening. Obviously, RNDC's departure was a big ripples. Speaking of RNDC, that actually came up here the other day too, because we're staying at a vineyard here in Italy, Tuscany, and I was hanging out with the people that run the place, and they were talking about the U.S. as their biggest export market. And I said, "Oh, well, what are your biggest distributors?" And they're like, "RNDC," and I'm like, "What do you mean? In California?" And they said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, that was a kind of a shit deal, wasn't it?" And they're like, "Yeah, we got our notice too."
Really? Wow. Also, it's not
they're like it hit us out of left field, and they're like, it's like 50% of our exports to the U.S. is that one market, and we just got handed a letter.
Yeah, that
Changing account
still,
by handing a letter.
Yeah, still ripples of that. Sunset Distributing is who bought Scout in San Diego, not Suncoast. There's Sunset and there is a Suncoast Distributing. So I'm crisscrossing my names there. So Sunset Distributing bought Scout in the San Diego area. That's the Han family company. That used to be the legacy. It would have started with the legacy, not Rogue. What was the other brewer down there?
Oh, you're talking about Arrogant Bastard.
Stone.
Stone. There it is. It was Stone Distributing. It was the Stone Distributing operation that got bought up, merged by Han family, bought with another company at the same time to become Sunset Distributing. That's who also picked up Scout. So sign of the times, crazy. Lots of moves back and forth around the industry. We'll have to do something later this year.
Consolidation. Yeah. Well, was it there? That is, consolidation is kind of going to be is always kind of a buzz with the industry
for sure,
going where it is. And
yeah. We'll have to do something roundup at the end of the year, see where everything on RNDC lands and how that big market settles out too, and what may come after that as well. So great episode. If you've enjoyed listening into what we're doing, follow us at the Tapped In Sales Podcast. Anywhere you're listening to podcasts out there in the universe, we are there, including our YouTube channel if you want to see our mugs as well. If you've got questions, ideas, things you want to hear us talk about, hit us up at info@vxptech.com. That's VXPTECH.com. Ross, enjoy your Italian beer for the weekend and your sea salt Italian air beer. You're looking very fresh along the way as well, too. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.